Episode of Lights, Camera, Live, where we shine a spotlight on the best and brightest marketers in the industry so you can take your business from unknown to unfreaking forgettable. And in today's episode, I'm super excited because we're going to talk about how brands can build strategic partnerships with influencers. And the person that I have today is absolutely amazing. In fact, Dylan, you got to give me a quick hint. How do you say your last name again?
Huey. Huey. Huey.
Huey. Okay, great. Okay, we'll do that in the edits. All right, so
Don't
ladies
worry.
and gentlemen, at just 21, Dylan Huey has become a successful content creator, musician, entrepreneur, host, speaker, innovator, and leader in the entertainment, not to mention social media and the technology industries. As a content creator, he's garnered over 1 million followers on social media under his moniker and stage name, which I'll let him tell you what that is. In
It's not a
addition,
flash.
Rod
Yes.
and Flash. In addition, he's previously managed other macro content creators with followings over 100 million. P.S. By the way, he's going to be at VidCon, so if you're going to be headed that way, make sure that you actually go ahead and see him, yeah? Right now, he's currently a student at University of Southern California. That's what's up. He's studying business administration and minoring in the music industry. So if you haven't heard any of his stuff, I'm sure he might give us a little taste. But P.S. by the way, he runs the first and only content creator club at any university, USC Reach, which I've been seeing popping up in my Instagram feed. He's got a lot of talented people in there. And now they've expanded to other campuses, including UCLA and Duke University. So, having said that, ladies and gentlemen, let's go ahead and welcome him to the show. So, Dylan, how are you?
Good, how about you?
I'm doing well, sir. And it's so funny because everyone's always like, who is this guy? We haven't met him before. OMG, he's still in college. Tell me all about the wonderful things about you, who you are, and what it is that you do.
Yeah, my name is Dylan. I grew up in Silicon Valley, so at an early age, just surrounded by technology, social media, all of that. My mom and my dad were both in the gaming industry. And I started social media in 2016 because I was getting bullied in middle school. So I used my platform to show other people that there's others who relate to them. Gained 30,000 followers in the first week. Currently have 2 million followers at the moment, and I get 20 million views on Snapchat every day, which I think is insane. But then beyond that, I run the first and only social media content creator club at any university. It was started at USC, and we now have 25 different chapters across the United States, and we're set to be in 100 universities by the end of the year. So we're scaling massively, which is amazing for us.
Look at you. Congratulations.
Thank you.
So, started off at USC. Now you've got 100 chapters in the forecast. I mean, that's got to feel amazing.
It's a lot of work, but I think we've seen a lot of publications the last few weeks call us the next Facebook. So we're uh, we're waiting to see if that's true. We
I
have
mean,
someone.
is that something that you're interested in, or do you want to be the next TikTok? I mean, you're probably the first guest that mentioned Snapchat in all of this year's episodes, which I was kind of like, okay, sir.
um, it's interesting. We have a great 5 year growth plan for Reach and our organization that we're doing. And I brought in my best friend from middle school and high school, and he's my COO now. So we're scaling, and we have some amazing projects in the works on that level.
I love that. And shout out to James Hicks who jumped onto the show. He's saying, that's dope. Congrats, young man. Look at you already getting love from the crew.
I love it.
You gotta love the crew. So we're multi-streaming across Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter, and on YouTube. So you're meeting the whole entire crew, Dylan. That's amazing. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
everyone. I love that.
Yeah, we've. Do you do live streaming a lot or no?
I did live streaming when I was in middle school. Like I said, I was getting bullied in middle school, so I wanted to show other people that there's others who relate to them. So when I was in middle school, I was live streaming for 8 hours a day, every single day, nonstop. And I was getting like 60,000 viewers throughout the 8 hour live stream. So I did a lot growing up. Now for
Yeah.
me, I try to make my social media feel very authentic. So I try to not make it look like I'm taking extra time out of my day to do content, which is why I really like Snapchat because I can just post a day in my life and what I'm doing.
I love that. I mean, to be honest with you, I use Snapchat more as my like photo and video storage
Yeah,
because
I love it.
I could download it and then I could create reels and all that other stuff out there. But I love that you have an audience there and that you're building that. Shout out to Tech Troublemaker who's saying good topic. See, so this goes out to all of the crew. When we think about influencers, and it could start at an early age. It doesn't necessarily have to be once you've hit your email list or once you've done like your website and all that other stuff. Dylan, it sounded like you had a story to share. You found a platform that worked well. It resonated with the right audience and you just kept building from there.
100%. That's completely how I started. For me, and this is something that I do for all of my products. I don't hop on something because I'm looking for an end goal or I'm trying to make money. I really had a story that I wanted to share with other people, and for me, social media was kind of the only place that I can turn to. So I'm fortunate enough to be able to build an audience on social media because it's allowed me to have some cool endeavors like this influencer organization that I currently run.
Yeah, tell us more about that because you said it's the first and only content creator on any campus at this point, and you've made a lot of headway in it. So, how did that come about?
Yeah, so it's been a club at USC since 2017. So I actually didn't start it, which I think is very cool that I've taken it over. It was started on social media or in 2016 at USC by a creator with 6.8 million followers on Facebook. He saw that the creator space was ever growing. More and more people wanted to become content creators. So originally, Reach was created as a place for those passionate about social media to come together, learn from each other, collaborate with each other, and really grow. And that's kind of been the model that we've embodied the last few years. Since the club has been around, we have three goals into what it is now. One is to focus on community. So we do a lot of content days, collab days, photo shoots, workshops, weekly meetings where we bring in some A-list celebrities. So we brought in Allison Stoner, who was on Camp Rock. We brought in Jabari Banks, who was on Bel Air. Second big thing that we do is help our club members get a full circle perspective in the social media space. So we do internship opportunities, guest speakers, focus groups, beta testing, headquarter tours, campus ambassador programs, networking days. We help our club members get paid media deals. We also help our club members get the tools, resources, partnerships, programs that they can utilize to help them become successful as a creator. So we do a ton of different stuff in our organization.
Okay, and this is a free club on campus?
$75 a semester, but that is compared to a $3,000 a semester fraternity. So you pick and choose.
Oh. Oh, so that's the pitch. That's the story angle. You could be part of a fraternity, or you could actually turn your passion for content creation into a profitable business. I like that. I like that. So
Exactly.
James and Tech Troublemaker, are we gonna head over to USC? Are we gonna are we gonna be new members? I mean, honestly, when I think about everything that you have to offer,
Yeah.
those are the types of programs that most even entrepreneurs are building as a masterclass, as masterminds for their members. Like even today, I was watching an Instagram live, and he was talking about how they create viral content reels, and he
Yeah.
was helping them as far as like how to script their hooks, how to make it spicier, how to make it this and that. And it sounds like you guys have this curriculum for your members. So how often do you meet?
We meet every single week when school's on. I mean, every single week we're bringing in different stars, different celebrities. One of our alums of our club, his name is Alan Chicken Chow. He is the most watched YouTube Shorts creator in the world. So he's someone who's mastered the algorithm, mastered how to grow on YouTube. And he came back actually this semester to teach our members how to become successful on YouTube Shorts. With that, I thought it was amazing.
That's fascinating. Shout
Yeah.
out to Joe Floyd who hopped in and he says, "How long until you guys get to work with athletes on name, image, and likeness deals? Do you have any members
We
apart?"
have two Olympic athletes in our USC chapter alone. We also in our USC chapter have the youngest American girl climb Mount Everest. And she's next week or 2 weeks from now, she's climbing the second tallest mountain in the world as well. So we have two Olympic athletes here at USC. We have a UCLA member who has 100K on TikTok, and he's a track and field athlete. So we definitely have a wide variety of athletes in our organization, which I think is amazing.
That's fascinating. Oh, so you've got members that are paying $75 a month, or was that a semester?
semester, so every 6 months.
Every oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's very
Okay. That's great. Okay, and so then what else happens? You have these meetups, you have these speakers that come on site. You said you mentioned something about helping them land brand deals. Is do you
yeah.
guys have some type of SaaS software in the background to get those in, or do you go
Yeah,
in on these deals as a group? Like how does that work?
great way. So, we've worked with over 300 companies in the last 5 or 6 months in a very unique way. We've worked with brands on paid media, on UGC, on activation, so experiential, red carpets, press. We've worked with brands on gifting. We've also worked with brands on strategic partnerships. So, what makes us unique, and this is something that as a value proposition our organization has, is that we try to work with brands in a very unique, out of the box, individualistic aspect. So when it comes to working with brands, we sometimes work with them on a organization side. So we pitch Reach as an organization on a national level amongst all 25 of our universities. We have over 175 million followers cumulative. Or sometimes, brand is looking for a specific creator, and we have creators in every single niche. So we're able to, give them a creator if they're looking for a soccer creator. A kid who has 100K making soccer content. We can pass on individual people as well.
So where do you see this evolving? Like do because eventually you're going to graduate,
Yes, I
right?
will.
And obviously you've taken on this role. This has been a club that was established in 2016. You've now
Yeah.
expanded it. You have these brand deals. You go collectively into certain things. What's the future of it? How do you see it?
Yeah, so we've turned it into now a national organization. So, like I said, we have like 5 or 6 people on our national org running all 25 of these chapters. Of course, it's kind of like a fraternity sorority model where on a national org we're overseeing all the chapters, and all chapters are independent of each other, but we're overseeing and overlooking all of these different chapters, which is amazing because in the pipeline, as we're expanding more and more universities, that's the goal, is to be able to tap into different students in different markets. And for brands, we can really position ourselves as one, the only place for these brands to tap into both college students as well as content creators. But then, two, if a brand is looking for a specific market, let's say they're looking for Florida, we can pass them to our University of Miami chapter or Florida State chapter. And that's something that a stereotypical talent agency can't really do because they don't have the capacity to do that. Whereas we have members coming in, coming out every single semester. Our roster is constantly changing, and the markets that we're in are constantly growing. So that puts us in a very unique perspective in terms of working with brands. But in terms of the pipeline, I mean, a lot of it is under hush, but there's some very exciting things that we're doing. We want to, like I said, we want to give all of our members the utmost resources to become successful in this space. So the up and coming or massive creators who come in and out of our club can become successful.
That's so exciting. And so when it comes to your organization, obviously you want to keep the lights on. And so do you guys have like some type of forecasting of like, hey, you guys, we want to hit this many brand deals or that many brand deals? Like, how does that function aside from we're going to give you the tools and the resources, but as an organization, how do you keep the lights running?
Yeah, as an organization, I mean, we're pitching, I'd say 80% of us, or my job, is to do outbound pitching to brands and seeing how they can align with different members or our organization. Either or something, sometimes both. And then 20% is inbound coming in. We've aligned ourselves with a lot of talent agencies, marketing agencies, because we ourselves are not a talent agency. We don't consider ourselves a talent agency. We don't consider ourselves a marketing agency. We consider ourselves a community focused on helping creators. So our creators can be signed with different agencies while they're in our organization. We don't represent our members. I think that puts us in a very, very unique perspective compared with all these talent agencies that are doing exclusive representation or marketing agencies, because we are the place that people want to turn to when it's aligning with different student organizations.
This is so fascinating. I'm like learning so much. Okay, so shout out to Male Care, who has been a loyal viewer now to Lights Camera Live. I'm so excited. They talk a lot about, they're a nonprofit organization. They talk about prostate cancer and whatnot. So more about like health. And the question is, how might an older creator pitch a pro bono collaboration to college age folks in your chapters. What can I say that would entice new creators to make videos with our older person focused nonprofit? Do you
I
do
would
things like
yeah,
that, or is it strictly paid?
we've worked with nonprofits a ton. I'd say especially when it comes to college students, and that's the niche that we're in. Our influencers and our creators are looking for experiences more than anything. Like, experiences are revenue in a multitude of different ways. So, when it comes to what we've seen is when we work with nonprofits, one example, we've worked with Best Friends Animal Society, which is a no-kill animal sanctuary. We made it where it's a very experiential activation where our members are going to their site, meeting the volunteers working there, and then our members are making content while playing with the puppies and kittens at the Best Friends Animal Society. So that's just one thing that we've done in terms of a very organic campaign with a nonprofit for pro bono. I think on another side, I think it speaks lengths for creators if they're willing to do actions rather than just posting on social media, because you can easily post on social media and it takes 5 seconds to do a shout out for a nonprofit. But I think it speaks more for them to use their platform for good and to volunteer and do that. Obviously, being college students too, they're always looking for events. So galas, red carpets, like those are things that entice creators, especially right now. Like I tell a lot of brands, I'm like, if you get a Getty Images photographer on site, that will get every single A-list influencer there in Los Angeles.
No way! I've never even considered it. How do you even get a Getty photographer?
You convince them. I don't know either.
You convince them. You pitch them.
You give them the idea. You say you're a nonprofit and you guys are just looking for some coverage.
I love this. So, hey, Mailcare, if you have more questions on how to work with USC Reach, Dylan is your person to reach out to. And you could, what's the best place to find you? Would it be LinkedIn or?
It is the best platform, in my opinion.
Yes, I absolutely love LinkedIn. I'm finding that
Every
it's,
day.
yeah, I'm finding I check in the morning, I see what everyone is up to, and then I check in midday. And it's kind of like my go to these days, especially if you're looking to build your brand and your bottom line.
The best brand deals and pitches that I've ever gotten have been through LinkedIn, because let's be honest, LinkedIn is the only place where you can look through the platform and you can see where the person is working at and their reputation and their experience, and you can see what people think of them in the economy or market that you're in. So, I mean, if you're doing a lot of pitching or outbound, LinkedIn is the go-to place. Like, there, Instagram works. Like, you can look to see if they have their company or their school in their bio, but LinkedIn, it's literally made for that. It's made for building connections and networking and business partnerships.
I love it. And I feel like you're the type of person that's probably actively pitching in the DMs or making connections. Yeah.
It's easier to find their email address through LinkedIn and then blasting out an email to them first. But I do send out some direct messages, like, on occasion.
As you should. As you should. Again, I feel like that's what the platform is built for. As long as you're not being spammy, then you have a purpose there. So here's
Exactly.
the whole purpose of the show is to talk about how to build strategic partnerships with
Yes.
influencers. And it never even occurred to me that there were clubs or organizations for content creators. This is
For the
really, yeah, I
first
mean,
and
you're the first one. So it's fascinating to me because I do have knowledge about Greek life and making sure that everyone is following the same protocol and etiquette, brand guidelines, and things of that sort. So I'm only imagining how that's going to roll out once you do all 25.
well,
That's
we're
going to,
already locked into 25. We're on our way to 100 right now. So
oh, that's right.
growing very exponentially. But I think, in terms of us forming strategic partnerships, I think there's a lot of different ways that it works for our organization. And I think the first and foremost thing, it comes down to the way that I've structured my cold outreach, because most of our successful campaigns have come from me reaching out to different companies, whether it be like NASCAR, because I saw that NASCAR had a race at USC in February, and I was like, well, it makes sense for a member to align with their campaign because we go to USC. I look for organic synergy, but then beyond that, I've been a content creator since 2016. So when I was in 2016, there was really no influencer marketing budget. That wasn't really a thing, and people didn't really pay for influencers to promote brands. So when I was a creator in 2016, I had to show brands why I was of value, and that was a major, major part of my cold outreach email template. Was like mainly like, why should people invest in me, and why should people pay money for me to promote their product? It's kind of like a spokesperson as a celebrity. It's the same exact way. It's like, why should X celebrity Jennifer Lopez sponsor or be promoted by X clothing brand? And that's the same exact way that I needed to figure out for all these small companies, for all these large companies, some of them having zero budget, some of them having a lot of money. And that's something that I took when Reach became a thing, and I took over Reach. Was like, how can I provide value for our members, but as well, how can I provide value for these brands to be able to tap into our members as well?
And it's so interesting because obviously you're very proactive in finding that organic synergy. How are you
Yeah.
maintaining these relationships with these brands? Do you have a CRM?
Honestly, this is something that I just use a lot of softwares, and I've perfected the pattern of just knowing how to reach out and to know when to respond to them. Actually, the tool that I use is called Clay. The website's at clay.earth, and it's a relationship platform for me to connect my LinkedIn, connect my emails, to connect my text messages, and it'll compile all through like algorithmics. It'll compile all of my relationships on the platform, so I can look at the people that I haven't talked to in 6 months, and I can email them, "Hey, just letting Reach was just featured on the information in Tube Filter last week. I'd love to see how my organization can align with you guys and how our influencers can collaborate with your brand." And that's the way that I've been doing it, is just looking through that platform and putting that back into email and shooting them a very templated email of, here's our updates, here's what we're doing. Based on what we're doing, I think there's some ways that we can collaborate with each other.
I love that. Okay, let me tell you why it makes me smile so much. Is
Yeah.
because even when I'm pitching on behalf of Agora Pulse, I always have to tell industry analysts as well as our ambassadors what's new, what are we
Yeah.
working on, because the last time we spoke, things have changed and things have definitely evolved, and I love that you're proactively doing that on behalf of your organization as well.
I think adding on to what you're saying, things change in the industry, the creator economy is always changing. So that's a big thing, is like, if a partnership doesn't land a year ago, it might land now because of how the economy and the creator space and how influencer marketing has adapted. But then, secondly, you're changing as well. The things that you've done a year ago are different from what you are at now. The brand is the same way. The brand, what they did a year ago, and the partnerships that they had, they might have an entirely new team. They might have a new program that might fit better with you. And that's something that I've learned, is that if it doesn't work out the first time, keep that relationship, because there might be an opportunity in the future.
I love that. And since you were talking about Clay Earth, I hope you don't mind. I just wanted to pull it up because I was like, wait a second, I want to see this. So let me bring this over here.
There's
Welcome
a
to.
1 year free student pro version, so that's
Oh,
why
is
it's
it really? That's exciting. I'm going to move
yeah,
this over here and I'm going to bring you onto the screen too, if you don't mind. Let's bring
of
you
course.
over. Do. There you are. Hey. Let me resize this, bring you over here. Thank you, Ecamm, for just making this super easy and simple for me. I'm going to take me off. There you go. Okay, so unlock the full power of your relationships. This is pretty much how you're keeping connected with
Yes.
everyone. Is this only for you? Are all of the chapters going to be using it too? Because I imagine as you're expanding, wouldn't you want to know who contacted who and how was that partnership?
Yeah, so this is something that actually we're not even this is not even sponsored, by the way, but
No, I
this is
know, but hey, you know what? We might get you sponsored. So hey, let's do
we've been
it.
talking to them about their enterprise level, because what my COO saw today, actually, and he told me to email them. Actually, I think they're supposed to be emailing me back today. But what we saw is that they have a feature on the platform where connections, on a team level, if I am talking to someone and my COO is talking to someone else, we can see who we are talking to and the other people. So it's building that wider net. So that's just something that we're definitely going to be integrating and utilizing with our organization. Right now, I'm the only one who uses it, and I've been getting my national organization on, but all of our members, for some reason, they just copy all of the tools that I'm using for like all of my like processes. So I'm sure it's going to catch a wave in the next few months.
That's amazing. That's good. I'm super proud of you for that. So, we've been talking about strategic partnerships, and one of the things that I like that you said was the experiences and following up, because even though a partnership didn't work out the very first time, there's always a changing of the guard. Sometimes
Totally.
the cards will shuffle in organizations. I mean, eventually, like we said, you're going to graduate, you're going to move on to something else, and you have to keep those contacts into place. And so I'm excited to actually check out Clay Earth and see how that pans out.
Yeah.
When you're working with these brands, oftentimes you have these UGC content creators. Sometimes a brand might hold on to the branding guidelines way too much. So,
Yeah.
how do you be like, hey, we know our platform best? Like, I know Snapchat better than than your creative director, right? How do you handle those conversations?
Well, here's the thing. I think the market is always changing in the creator space. 5 years ago, if I pitched a brand the idea that I wanted to do, they definitely wouldn't have jumped on it because they would have been like, no, we only have a set budget for this paid media, for this idea. And I think the tide is changing where now companies are realizing, oh, we should be partnering with creators in a very out of the box experiential way where, beyond just the standard paid media, let's invite them to events, let's host events, let's, get them to invite their friends, blah, blah, blah. And I think that that's the direction that we're seeing is that brands are more willing, whether that be an influencer who has an idea to do a podcast that's hosted by X brand. Like those are things that we see more and more of. So I think that the direction is changing, but I think as well, brands are starting to realize that creators know their platform the best. A TikToker who has an audience on TikTok already, they're going to know more about their audience than the brand knows about that creator's audience. So there's a level of trust where, obviously a brand has some guidelines. They have things that they want to meet. They might have a standard campaign. Hey, we're shoe company. We want you guys to post pictures on a basketball court. But I think it's all about being outspoken and being like, hey, I know my fans would think this is cool and this is something that they would react to and would go viral. And brands are starting to see that shift where creators starting to take ownership. But as well, I do think that there is a level, and I'm advocating for the brand right now for a second. There is a level where there needs to be some synergy in terms of the way that brands are working with creators because brands are having an image and they want to uphold their image. So it's one working with brands, and this is something that I talked about when I was speaking at Consumer Electronics Show about brands. It's a two-way street. The brand needs to find the creators that align with the brand's mission. Creators need to find brands that align with the creator's mission, and I think that's a perfect synergy right there.
I love that. That makes so much sense. And so you've spoken at the Consumer Electronics Show. You're going to be speaking at VidCon as well. Tell us a little bit about your topic for VidCon.
My topic is talking about Gen Z leaders and executives, which is fitting for me because I'm a Gen Z person and I'm also a leader and executive in the creator economy. So I'm excited about that. But it's also talking about the pipeline from creator to executive and the transition from leveraging content creation and working with brands. And we have one of our panelists who's now runs a marketing agency, and all of her first clients that she got were clients who paid her for brand deals in the past. So we're starting to see that shift where creators are now one starting their own agencies, which is amazing. But then two, where brands are looking to these creators to be the strategists, to be the content creators for these companies. Companies are starting to hire in-house creators and creatives. And I think that's a unique shift where it's a very strategic relationship right there where, the partnership isn't between the creator's audience and the brand, but now it's, working in tandem with the creators at hand.
How how do you see the tides shifting as far as marketing teams where they're now saying we need to hire content creators versus leveraging their own in-house creative team?
Well, let's be honest. Content creators have probably studied the algorithm. They know the algorithm. The algorithm's constantly changing. A standard marketing team is not going to have time to memorize every single algorithm. I was talking to someone last week, and they brought up that they think the direction of in-house social media strategists are going to be where there's one strategist for like short form content. There's another strategist for long form content. There's another strategist for maybe like podcasting. And I think that's a very interesting perspective because the environment of short form content is very different from the environment of long form content, right? YouTubers aren't usually successful on TikTok, and TikTokers aren't usually successful on YouTube, which I think is very interesting. And that's how the direction that we're seeing is that the tides are changing, where these companies are starting to lean on these creators who know the algorithm, who studied it, who've been able to be successful and be viral on social media because they just know how to make creative content. They know how to storytell. They know how to paint a picture, and they also know finally how to interact with an audience. Audience and community is one of the most important things on social media. And a strategist, while they might know about social listening and listening to what people are talking about the brand, they don't know how to react to that. And that's something that a creator is going to be able to know how to adapt their content, adapt what they're doing based on what their followers and their audience is saying.
I absolutely love this interview. So, let me give everyone a little backstory. So, Karina Carter, who was a part of influencer marketing at Curology and Robinhood, she decided that she wanted to create a platform where different content creators can get together. And so she created this Discord platform. And I was like, hey, I want to meet people that are in there. So I jumped
Yeah,
in there and I saw Dylan and he was posting, and I was like, okay, he did a TEDx talk, and I was checking out the website and all those different things. And I'm just so excited to see how the marketing landscape, whether it's B2B or B2C, it's absolutely shifting. Your whole explanation of how there should be a strategist by different platforms is so spot on.
yeah,
And I've been even just trying to explain this to my clients, the way that people used to manage social media in 2010 is
yeah.
very different from what it is today. Even when you
100%.
said about audience and getting a reaction from your fans and followers, it's knowing how to pull those different psychological triggers and be
Yeah.
proactive in it. Like 2010 social media was basically pray and spray, broadcast, put it out there, and just, hey, everyone in the company, go out there and amplify this. And it's like, not so fast.
It's also interesting because I mean we're seeing a shift in like Super Bowl ads. Like a lot of people back in like 5 years ago, a Super Bowl ad was the biggest thing. But now people, can easily compare a Super Bowl ad and the watch time to an ad on YouTube while you're watching the Super Bowl because the medias and the mediums of people watching media is always changing, and the landscape of how people are reacting and consuming is changing, and companies need to know how to adapt to that, and that's something that's super important.
What do you think is the biggest challenge for you and your organization in working with brands right now? Because it feels like you have a good understanding of your value proposition, what you and your orgs can offer brands. What are
Yeah,
brands still getting wrong?
I think right now brands are doing the traditional, which is great, but the social media landscape is always changing, and that's something that I brought up already. But what has been done 2 years ago is not what should be the standard now, and it's great that companies have a standard. They're doing what they know was worked 2 years ago, but the landscape in the market is always adapting where you know while a company can be very conservative and traditional in terms of their budget and how they operate, the creator economy landscape is always going to be changing. So they need to adapt their partnerships and their schemes and how they're aligning with different brands. And I think that's the biggest thing, especially, is that we're seeing a lot of companies that are like, oh, well, we're down to do some paid media. Maybe we can explore some UGC. But I know on my side, I'm like, well, that's only going to get you, pretty low ROI. But if we do this, which is, the next thing that's going to be popular maybe in 5 years because companies are a little slow, then that's the angle that is going to give you guys the most ROI or long-term partnerships rather than a one-off organic post, because every influencer is doing paid media. Let's be honest, everybody is. I've done a million paid media deals. So at some point, it's like my audience has already seen an ad of this or a competitor or another ad. Like, we companies need to figure out a way that they can build a very organic relationship with the creator, the creator's audience, whether that be investing in. This is why I like the experiential and the experiences, is because it puts creators in a perspective where they're encouraged and excited to post about the brand because they're going to, let's say it's Netflix, right? And it's a red carpet event for their upcoming movie. Like, an experience is something that everyone wants to have and wants to talk about and can easily post about in a very organic way. We're in a verbal 30-second paid media. It's always going to be the same spiel every time.
I love it. Okay, so let's talk about when you're working with these brand deals, how are you proving social media ROI?
I think there's multiple things, and one, the conversion, obviously, of sales. That's something that every company is seeing. But the way that I see the biggest ROI is brand awareness. How many people viewed the post or the posts that are promoting the brand? How many people are commenting on it? The engagement. How many people are sharing it with their friends? For me, that speaks more because, I mean, sales are only good for consumer focused brands. Something like a movie that's coming out, you cannot convert a ad about a movie to sales, because what are you selling? Are you going to sell like box office tickets? I guess you can, but who's really going to a movie theater nowadays? You're watching on Netflix and on Max and Amazon Prime Video. So I see it, people talking, like people who are engaging with my ad that I did for Air, which was a great movie. I haven't finished watching it, but I need to. But people who are talking about it on my comment section, liking it, who are reacting to it, that speaks more for me. And that's where I think brands are starting to see and be more flexible with. Awareness is a big thing that is important, a little bit more for than ROI at this point, because one, brands need to build their own social identity on social media, and this helps them with that. Because if I'm a creator and I'm talking about a specific brand and I'm saying it's great, then my audience is going to know in their head, this is a great brand that maybe if I don't buy it now when Dylan's campaign is going on, maybe if I see it in a store, or maybe if I see it on the Netflix, I'm going to watch it or I'm going to purchase it. So I think multitude of different ways, but one, ROI, and then two, brand awareness, or
Yeah.
one, pay sales, and then two, brand awareness.
So, do you actually have the tech stack in order to measure that right now? Or are you
Uh,
relying on the brand to report back to you?
I think right now it's a big reliance on the brand to be able to share that. There aren't that many platforms for creators to be able to know the metrics that go behind their posts. I mean, obviously, I can go on Instagram, and if I have a paid ad, I can see the engagement on that, see how well it's done, and there's starting to become some influencer marketing platforms. But I've talked to a lot of influencer marketing platforms, and every time I say, "Oh, I'm a creator. I want to look at my own stats." They're like, "Oh, well, we're probably not the platform for you because we're more focused on selling to agencies." So I think that's something that needs to be developed more, is platform platforms or influencer marketing platforms, for me to be able to see, okay, this is the brand that I did, and this is the ROI that I provided. But I think, the last few years we've really seen it based off of the brand telling a creator.
Yeah. I'll make a small tweak for you. So something to add into your tech stack.
Yeah.
So traditionally in my field, we would call it a social media management tool, right?
Yeah.
And so, I mean, full disclosure, I work at Agora Pulse, and basically what we're known for is proving social media ROI. So let's say,
Yeah.
Dylan, if you were doing a campaign for a specific brand, you connect all
Yeah.
your different social media channels for the ones where you could actually add a tagged URL. What
Yeah.
happens is that it will add the UTM parameters. I'm going to geek out with you. You know this, you're smart. It'll add the
Yeah.
GA4 UTM parameters on there.
Okay.
So then you could
Yeah.
actually report back to the brand and say, because I did this TikTok, because I did this, this is how many clicks that we got. And if they
Yeah.
give you access to the GA4 analytics, you could actually report back on the conversions if they put in the goal to say that this is the dollar amount.
Yeah.
So if you really want to amplify your efforts, like if you want to be at cause and be in charge of how much you're making an impact and not just relying on someone else to tell you, then that's to your advantage. And we could talk about that offline.
It's
Because here's
very,
the
yeah,
thing. Yeah.
very interesting. I
Because,
think if I can add something, I think that a lot of companies are utilizing tools like that for themselves and social media managers. But I think on the creator side, like independent creators, they're not really finding the tools, or there's no tool that is very consumer focused. Because I'm looking at Agora Pulse right now that you mentioned. And if I'm looking on, the dashboard or that landing page right now, it says over
agencies.
31,000 media managers, right?
Yeah.
But then then they put all the companies, Ogilvy, Shipped, like these are all companies. And, I think creators are looking for tools that creators can rely on, not a tool that a brand is going to be utilizing to look at them.
Yeah. It's interesting because, again, it's different language in marketing
100,
the campaign. I'm a
100%.
content creator myself. I'm
Yeah,
a live streamer.
I love it.
One of the interesting things is that before I even worked at Agora Pulse, I was always a live streamer. I was a content creator and I had access to Agora Pulse, and it was one of the best ways for me to repurpose my content, put it out there. Because as a live streamer, so like
Yeah,
even now, right, like James is watching us on YouTube. We have someone else watching us on LinkedIn and someone else is there.
yeah,
But what I love about it is that the social inbox shows me all the comments in one user interface. So if you're thinking about brand deals, right?
yeah,
More watch time, more hooks, more follow ups for you to do. That's what
yeah,
helped me. So I would say for you as a content creator, don't be discouraged if a landing page says agencies or brands. You're
yeah.
smart. Just shift your perspective and say, if I was a content creator, how would this work for me? Because then at that point, you could start. I mean, for you personally, proving your social media ROI as a content creator, that's the difference that makes the difference. Because
It's
it's,
miles
yeah,
improve partnerships. You can come back to a brand and be like, "This is what I provided other brands, and this is what I can provide you as well." So it
yeah.
speaks a lot.
And I'll even say, so I had Indra Gardner Bowers, who is the CEO of an agency here in San Diego. She specializes in hospitality and tourism. The
Yeah,
creators that she works with, they're now comparing notes. It's like, okay, brand, this is what we measured on our end. And when they
yeah,
have to renegotiate contracts with content creators are now well versed with how they're driving traffic, how they're driving signups and conversions and all of that other stuff. So you're almost
totally.
there. You're
Yeah,
almost there. And we could talk about that offline. Yeah.
yeah. No, that's really intriguing. That I think the landscape is starting to shift where, creators starting to look at these type of analytics and data metrics. But especially the students in my influencer organization, I haven't seen that many of them using these tools. So I think, these tools are really beneficial. And I think that awareness will start to get out there about utilizing these tools and leveraging these tools. But I still think that they're in the current economy. I still think that there's some room for creators to be able to leverage these tools.
Oh, I know.
And
Like I was like, if anybody's on LinkedIn right now and listening to this, I mean,
yeah,
you basically have an MVP that you could go prove right now. Or like if you just took a social media management tool, but stop trying to pitch it to agencies and to brands and you were targeting content creators,
yeah,
there's there's USC Reach that is looking for a solution right now. So it's kind of like, come on, y'all. Are you out there? Are you listening?
There need to be platforms that need to position it as a creator focused platform. I think that's where the benefit is, because it's not just, Reach members, it's not just myself who's like, oh, well, these tools, maybe it's just for not for me, but on a marketing wide side of things, it's great for these brands, these agencies, these social media managers. But I think creators need to start discovering these as well.
Yeah, I think eventually there's going to be, and I think most agencies, there always starts off at that path of, I'm a content creator, I'm doing this because I have fun, and then eventually they shift their mindset to, I'm a business, I'm also really good at creating content.
Yeah,
And that was actually the last guest that we had on the show, Ketsia Jacobson, who's also a part of our influencer community on Discord. And
love
same thing.
that.
She was super passionate about it. She made it profitable. And then she realized brands wanted to work with her. She started working in house at an agency. She learned the ropes of, project management, how to pitch a deal, all these different things. And now she has her own UGC content creator agency.
UGC is starting to grow. It's becoming bigger and bigger, and I think brands are starting to understand. What's great about UGC is that brands can be able to get organic content from these creators who know how to position to brands, wherein these brands don't need to either go to a marketing agency or creative agency to get it done. And then two, they can go to the people who know the best and leverage them. So, UGC is starting to grow, and I think that we're going to see a lot more creators start to leverage UGC, because you don't need to be a creator with 10 million followers to be successful in UGC. You need to know how to be a good creative, how to be a good storyteller, how to paint the picture, how to be a good strategist. And I think that that's a landscape that we've seen in the last few months, especially with COVID, ending and COVID happening. UGC has been increasing.
It's so fascinating. I mean, have you met Ketsia yet? I'll probably connect the both of you together because she's putting together another community too. Um,
Yeah.
but okay, so then here's a fun question for you.
Yes.
Would you rather be an influencer or a creator?
That's a question. I'd say the first thing to distinguish is what is a creator and what is an influencer. For me, an influencer is anyone who has influence. An everyday person has influence over their parents, their friends, blah, blah. So I think a lot of people are influential and can be influencers. A creative is someone who's actively making content and posting content and distributing content. I'd say, and a lot of people will say that an influencer is someone who has over 30,000 followers on social media, blah, blah. I'd say everyone who's is an influencer. Everyone who's a creator is an influencer because they're posting about their stories on social media, but not all influencers are creators. For me, I think the easiest thing that someone can do is be an influencer, but I think that the most creative and the most fun is being a creator and painting stories online. So, I mean, it's a give or take of preference. Kim Kardashian is a influencer. She's not a creator. Mr. Beast is a creator. He's also an influencer. Um, I'd say it's the same thing as traditional media and old media. A lot of old media traditional media and new media. A lot of traditional media is more on the influencer side, influential spokespeople. Then on the creator side, it's more of this new media where people are leveraging TikTokers and all of that. So I think it's an interesting thing, and I definitely did not answer which one is better. But I think it give or take, it's two different directions and
It is
two
two
very
different
distinct.
directions. So would you rather be a content creator or an influencer?
I think every content creator's goal is to eventually be an influencer.
So what's your answer? Is that your final answer?
I'd rather be an influencer, but being a creator is everyone's step to become a a influencer. So you have to be a content creator. If you want to be an influencer in today's day and age, the easiest way is to be a creator. So you have to go through the routes.
Yeah, I think that if you want to have longevity in this industry, my my I would lean towards be a content creator. Know how to create content, know how to create stories, know how to shift with the algorithms, and that will help you build your influence over time. Whereas you
100%.
could be an influencer and then because you're not shifting and adapting to the different platforms or even understanding how the algorithm works, you're going to lose that influence at some point.
Understand. And I think it's interesting because there's over 40,000 people on TikTok with over 1 million followers. So it's, really a matter of honing in your craft and understanding why you're successful or why an audience wants to watch you. And your value proposition is something that's super important. And we talked about this when it was coming to like working with brands, like being able to tell your value proposition. But it's the same thing in terms of value proposition. You need to know your value proposition for people to want to watch your content. That's something that's super, super important.
This is so much fun. Thank you so much for your time. This has been
All right.
fascinating. You know what I love about these conversations that I'm having with everyone is that, especially in the Gen Z audience, there is a clear distinction between a content creator and an influencer. So clear. It clicks because I'm on my end when I'm doing B2B. It's like, yes, you could have a social media manager. Does this person also know how to create content and how to create content at scale and how to tell stories and all of that great stuff? And sometimes it's kind of like trying to find a unicorn. And I'm seeing this evolution now that if you are going to hire internally, then you're most likely going to try to find someone that is a built-in content creator that does things strategically across the things. So we may actually just see the title social media manager
Mhm.
disappear and
100%.
be replaced with content creator.
Yeah. No, I was talking with the company yesterday, and they sent me a one sheet for a position, and it was just said content creator. That's it. No social media manager. It was content creator.
Love it. And shout out to Mailcare who has already said helpful insights. Thanks. I've written to you on LinkedIn. So
I love it.
yay.
I
I
love
love
it.
it. All right. If there are any parting words that you want to leave with the Lights Camera Live crew about building strategic relationships with influencers and content creators, what would that
Yes.
be?
I'd say, like I said before, I think that a partnership and a strategic partnership is a two-way street. And the what you're getting from a creator, you need to know what you're getting from a brand. So you need to find that perfect match. For us, when we partner with brands on our level on Reach, um, sorry, I'm getting texts from people who are trying to submit me for Forbes 30 under 30 right now because the deadline's. Um, so when it comes to working with different brands, you need to understand what their goals are, what their mission is, and where they want to be as a brand. But then you as a creator, you need to know your 5 year plan as well. What is my goal? Is me aligning with this brand going to benefit me right now, or is it gonna, is it just something that's for money? And I think that a lot of creators right now, you know, they're leveraging brand deals based off of money. And I think the direction that a lot of creators are starting to now understand is that no, I'm a creator and I'm a brand. So I need to enforce my brand and to understand that I cannot and I should not sell out. Just get every single brand deal just because I want money. You need to really figure out and hone in. Okay, well, this brand really aligns with what I want to do in the next few years. Maybe it's an entertainment company and I want to be an actor. So I'm going to align myself with these entertainment projects, even though my content right now is just focused on skits. And we see a lot of creators adapting to different mediums of traditional media. Some of these creators are becoming musicians. Some of these creators are becoming actors. Some creators are being directors and screenwriters and athletes. That's something that you're starting to see more and more of. So it's really, building that brand from the ground zero, whether you're a company, building that strategic social media collaborations from the ground zero, or if you're a creator, understanding me as a brand or as a product, if I want to put it that way, what is my 5 year plan of what brands should align with me? What brands would make sense? And what looking 5 years from now would I be happy if I worked with that brand? And I formed that strategic partnership in that unique way. Because I think right now, and especially brands are starting to see that unique value propositions of creators and letting creators take range on just having fun and doing what they know their audience would really love. That's where I think the direction is headed. So it's definitely an interesting route. But I think as well the environment of social media is changing every single month and every few months. So the information of here's what brands are doing successfully in terms of strategic partnerships is going to be different in the next 2 years and the next 4 years and the next 6 years. We've already seen it where traditional film and TV ads are kind of defunct now. Radio, well, I would have loved listening to a radio ad in high school or middle school. I don't listen to the radio anymore. I'm leveraging Spotify for all of my music. So the tide is changing, but right now where we are, it's giving creators ownership of their audience and their content that they're making to understand that creators and creatives know social media the best.
I love that. And P.S. By the way, you just inspired Tech Troublemaker. He goes, "Yep, that's what I want to be when I grow up. Content creator."
I love it.
Dylan, this has been absolutely amazing. Probably one of my most favorite conversations this entire week. This is so insightful. I love how the tides are shifting and all the other things. I know you've got this Forbes 30 under 30, maybe. I don't know. We'll see.
The nominations are out until midnight, guys.
All right. Well, having said that, we'll end the show. Hang back for a little bit. But everyone, thank you so much for tuning in. Rose Horowitz, who tuned in, she said that this was interesting. You got mail care, so you already got a lead going on LinkedIn. You got James Hicks, who's already inspired. We'll go from there. You guys have any questions, you know where to find him. Find him on LinkedIn. That's the best place to find him. All right. Bye, everyone.
I